Good morning, everyone. What do you see here? Write your answers below. There's a building in Boston's MIT that was designed by Frank Gehry, and it looks like Dr. Seuss, as all of his buildings look like. They look like Dr. Seuss built them or drew them. And I did drawings on paper with pencil and with pen and on my iPad. And in the 2 hours I was there, I produced essentially these. Now, what I've done for the upcoming show in May, where Urban Sketchers will show the work they do, I've been coming up with ways of showing not so much the quality of the work I do, but the quantity that I can produce in the 2 hours. I draw very fast, and I try to draw lots of different views, not just one. So anyway, I thought in displaying this, some of them I'm displaying in a flat frame, but this one, because of the weirdness of the building, I made this little multi-leveled collage by taking two stretcher frames and gluing the artwork to it, and then there's a layer here and a layer here, and then there's the top layer. So there's 3 layers of drawings, and you don't really see. There were 2 drawings I did with this pencil. That's a very special pencil. It's called an ink pencil, and it looks like a pencil when you draw with it, but then if you get it wet, it turns blue. And the reason that this area is blue is because the glue that I glued it, the Elmer's school glue that I glued it to the frame, somehow seeped through the paper, because it's made of almost no adhesive, just water. I think the plan was that the art project that the child in school would use this glue on was only meant to last a week on the refrigerator before it all fell apart. Anyway, so I didn't realize this happened, and so I'm going to now add water, which is in this brush, and you'll see how magical this is. And I'm not going to do it as much as I did it on the other ones. I'm just going to sort of use it sparingly. And sort of imitate with the mark making I'm doing with my brush, the mark making I was doing with the pen. I think that's enough for that one. What I'm doing is I'm disguising the blue area that showed up because of the glue seeping through. Okay, I think that's good enough. Now we do the top one. The Gehry building at MIT is completely, it's made up of corrugated metal that looks sort of like corrugated cardboard. And it's all at different angles, and it looks like it had been, you took a building that was made of metal and you got the Jolly Green Giant to pry it out of its moorings and crumple it up and throw it in the dumpster. It has that look. It also has the look of sort of like a crystal growing. It's really a fascinating building. So now, do I add water to this? This is the pen and ink drawing, or do I just leave that the way it is? I think I'll leave it the way it is. It's the odd man out. It was about 90 million degrees in the shade that day when we were drawing, and I ended up trying to find shade, and it sort of blocked my choices of how I wanted to draw it. But so the building, here we go. This is the one that sort of looks most like the building. It has these planes of, they look like an accordion from well, it looks like an accordion squeeze box thing, you know, zigzagging back and forth. And underneath here was the main entrance to this building. And so this is from the outside, and then here, this is from the inside looking out. This is from the inside looking out. So what I wanted this piece made up of all these drawings layered on top of each other was to sort of make the piece kind of look like the building. So that's how this is going to be displayed. So now where can I put it where it's not going to get bent or thrown out because it looks like garbage? I mean, so now on to part two. This pen came in the mail from eBay, and this rose-colored glasses that I had on when I was bidding on it were rosier than maybe they should have been. I didn't pay as much money. If I saw this at a pen show, I might have paid maybe $5 more or passed on it completely, depending on my mood. It's a Wahl number 4 sized pen, and there's a lot of, quote, flaws with it, but the nib looked specifically like I could make it better than it was, because the nib had clear little bends in it. Shoot. Fuck. Sorry. There we go. Did I just break this thing that's holding my phone up? I just did. How did I do that? Hold on, people. No, I didn't. I just knocked something. Let me put you back in, your little truss. Okay. This nib, as you can see by even from this distance, the nib has a wave to it. It's sort of like the building I just showed you, old Kitty Wonkus. The side view of the point of the nib, here's the tip, very tip, and it goes up, and it goes back. So somewhere along in its history, 100-year-old history, it fell flat on its little nib. But it looked like the nib was fine, and it looked like the nib was very flexible. But it's actually fine, but maybe not as fine as it could be. If it was, maybe I could see if I can fix it a little bit better. But it's very firm, and that was a surprise. And am I unhappy? Am I sad about that? Not really. There's a time and a place for this nib. Look at how it reflects the ink. Yeah, so soothing. Watch the ink dry. Watching ink dry and watching paint dry are completely different things. It's way more exciting than watching paint dry because it only takes a few seconds for ink to dry. Whereas paint, you're there for the entire afternoon or week. Not all ink dries as fast as this. I had some Noodler's ink, which is still wet. And I used it on a job 6 years ago. That does not dry fast. But the inventor of the ink, Nathan Tardif, said I have to use shittier paper. I have to use very porous paper, but I don't do that. I use paper that is not porous. So anyway, the question I now am dealing with, oh, look at that nib. Can you see the bend it makes? It goes down and then it goes up. And it does that. It's even more. And you see on the face of the nib, you can see little lines where the wrench and pliers were applied. Now, normally, if the pen writes and makes a beautiful line, I can overlook the flaw of the nib. When I stop and admire the pen like this and just look at it gleam in my hand, it bothers me. But when I'm actually creating art with it, or drawing, or scribbling like this, it doesn't bother me. Yes, I know it's there. Maybe that bothers me a little bit, but maybe not. So what else is wrong with this pen? Well, I can see here that underlying the cap, which is common with these pens, corrosion can happen on the inside where the inner cap ends right here. And the ink will eventually cause the metal to get corrosion, and then at some point, if this pen were used every day and in the same way that it had been used up to this point, at some point this whole entire cap is going to fall, top of the cap will fall off. So that's a flaw, I guess. The clip is very interesting. The wall imprint is very, very faint. And I think it was always faint. It isn't just worn down because there's no brassing at that point. It's just like they didn't cut into it or stamp it or engrave it or however this was done. So that's weird. It does have some brassing right here on the end, which was pictured in the description on eBay, but I didn't really see it there as much. My rose-colored glasses were on after all. Another problem is the pin in the lever is not there. The lever is still connected with the pressure bar, so it's not going to fall off, but it's loose in there. And I lift it up and it, the whole lever the sack wasn't getting depressed. It was just not working. So that's a flaw that I have to remember because I'm not going to bother to fix it. And sometimes repairs that I can't fix or don't want to fix or don't feel I have the skill set or the part, I'll just put in my little head that I have to remember that that's a problem. It is engraved IFB, International Order of F Buddies. That would be IOFB. So IFB is probably, of course, the name of a person, but maybe this is a pen given out by the FBI, but they thought that would be too obvious if they said FBI, so maybe IFB was the way they disguised it. I have a pen that's engraved IFB, not FBI, but it's engraved FIB, so it says FIB, which of course is true. FBI, it's all part of the deep state. The deep state. So here's a map of the United States of America. Sort of. Blah, blah, blah. Imagine here's Minnesota, here's Massachusetts, there's Florida, there's Texas. I never remember which side Texas looks like that. Which side has the deeper right angle. But that's the side, because Oklahoma is up there, and Oklahoma is right there, and Texas is there. Anyway, so I want to know where the deep state is, and is it like West Deep State and East Deep State, or is it North Deep State, or is it just one state? Is it like Nebraska, that has North Nebraska and South Nebraska, as our fearless leader seemed to think? What a Dumbo. Anyway, deep state, part of the deep state, the IFB. Irving Frederick Brewster. Could be that. I like International something something Brotherhood. International Fraternal Brotherhood. Now that's an oxymoron. And look at how nice that looks, that ink, wet ink drying. Anyway, so this pen still makes me smile. I don't think I'm going to fix the nib. I don't think I'm going to try to make it look any better, because there's always a chance when you're playing with nibs that you're going to break something. And if this nib were really, really flexible and looked like this, I wouldn't dare. The fact that this is sort of firm means that I can maybe, in my attempts to fix it, I would have less fear. So anyway, so this is it. I'm hungry. My stomach is telling me, but I have to wait. Anyway, there you go. Ta-da. This nib is bent. I mean, it's supposed to not have that little bend there. But see, the clip is bent. It's not supposed to have that upward bend there. It's supposed to just go wrong. But someone, again, took their pliers and went, ah! So, but see, now my clip matches my nib. So I can say with, it's like having matching fencing scars. Or if you limp on one leg, all you have to do is get hit by a car on the other leg, and then you won't limp anymore, right? So maybe this makes that look like it's supposed to be there. What do you think? Write your answers below. Goodbye. Why did I just run out of ink? I didn't actually glue the sack in yet. This was mainly to see whether the nib would work, but I can glue a bigger sack on, and maybe I've run out of ink. Kinda, sorta. Okay, bye. Oh, oh, oh. That 10th great-grandchild also arrived on eBay a couple days ago. And this one has, the clip is missing the back of the clip, and there's teeth marks all over here, chewed on. But this nib is really quite lovely, and nice and rubbery. Puts that a nice thick line of wet ink. Yeah, you like my wet ink, don't you? Look at how glistening it is. Beautiful wet ink. The nib needs to be reset, as you can see. It's like sticks out a mile, but again, the nib I might just take and put in a different pen. Chances are. But I still have to send this one back, the one that said fine nibbed Waterman. Well, it's a broken nibbed Waterman, not fine. So one of its iridiums is gone. Bye.